right? If you respond to a situation, you're more determinative. In fact, if you go to the doctor and say, Doc, I've got this rash on my arm, can you suggest something for it? And he says, try this solution, come back in 2 weeks and tell me how you're doing. You go back after 2 weeks and the doc says, well, it looks like the treatment is reacting to your skin. Is that good or bad? That's bad, right? But what if the doc says it looks like the treatment is responding to your skin? Is that good or bad? Now, so you might think it's semantics, but it's really not. It has a much more powerful meaning when we understand responding as opposed to reacting to certain situations. On this side of the room, give me some other examples of things over which you have total control. A couple of others. Decisions, all right? The decisions that we choose to make. Any others? Okay, the way you think, your thoughts. What's the self-esteem factor over here, high or low? It's nice to be in control, isn't it? To be in control of your life to the point where the things that you're doing are yielding the results that you want in the first place. But it takes a certain type of individual to make that happen. And this person is the kind of person that really understands law one, the ability to gain control of themselves, to be able to step up, to be able to do everything that they're supposed to do and they want to do to create the kind of results that they want to create in their lives. And so notice also that everything that you have in your life in terms of results, whether it's personal, professional, financial, whatever it might be, you have all those things based on the decisions that you've made up to this point. So if you want different, you're going to have to do different, or you're going to have to do more of what you've already done. And so there's no high fives and group hugs here today. It's very much about this is what it takes. This is what we've seen works, and this is what we're going to have to do. Need a volunteer. Someone that's willing to gain or possibly earn 400 grand today. Show of hands. Oh, it's interesting, isn't it? When the need is big enough. All right, this gentleman here in the blue, what's your name? Lloyd. Stand up, Lloyd. Where are you from? Surrey, okay, that's all right. We like Surrey. Lloyd, if I said to you, do you know the M1? Yeah. If I said to you, Lloyd, if you'll be at Newport Pagnell Services on the northbound side reception desk at 8 o'clock tonight, 8 p.m., there'll be a check waiting there for you for £400,000, right? All you've got to do, Lloyd, is be there on time. Would you be there on time? Yeah, look at his face. Yeah, I'd make sure I'd be there on time, right? Okay, Lloyd, what time would you leave? No. Right now, baby. Don't need to think about that one. I'm going, right, making time to go out straight away, right? Let's say Lloyd, he's accosted someone in London, he's stolen their car, and he's making steady progress up the M1. He gets within 3 miles of Welcome Break Services, okay, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, traffic thickens up and he comes to a standstill. Cars on both sides, right, Lloyd? Are you with me? Okay. So at this point, he's looking around, he's thinking to himself, it's 7:15, cars on both sides. You turn on the radio and it tells you that a truck's tipped over, spilt 2x4s of wood all over the place. It's going to take 3 hours to clear it up. Are you going to be there on time, yes or no? Yes. How? Ha! A man after my own heart. He's going to get out and run. He's going to walk, he's going to run, he's going to crawl. He's going to leap tall buildings with a single bound if that's what it takes. See, when the need is big enough, we learn to control all kinds of stuff that we believe we can't control. And the issue is the need to do it. Thanks, Lloyd. So understanding the need to gain control is the foundational law in building any wealth. And you'll notice that this law really has very little to do with money and a whole lot to do with leadership, a whole lot to do with self-leadership and your ability to move when it's required. Law 2. Embrace the future. What does that mean? Well, more than just being some kind of phrase, embrace the future really means understanding, number one, what your skills are. What are your skill sets? Because each of you here today have certain things that you may or may not know would yield the kind of results that you want. Some of you have tapped them, and some of you are still looking for what they are. But each of you, in your own way, have got unique skills and abilities that can be commercialized. And your job is to find out what those things are. Whenever people come up to me and say to me, how am I going to create value? How am I going to be able to make it as an entrepreneur? 3 things to consider. What do you do well? That's the first one. Ask yourself that question. What do I do well? The second thing is, what do I do better than most? There's got to be some sort of differentiation between you and the masses. What do I do well, and what do I do better than other people? And then the last one is, and how can I create value for people doing these things? How can I create value for people doing these things? The name Howard Hill. How many of you have heard of Howard Hill? Show of hands. Howard Hill? No? Looks like I got to you just in time then, right? Howard Hill was an archer. True story. Some say he was the greatest of all time. As a youngster, I remember used to watch Record Breakers, and probably some of you might know that show. But Record Breakers, Roy Castle used to host that show, and on one occasion he had Howard Hill with his bow and arrow. He was an archer. How many of you have ever shot the bow and arrow? Show of hands. Any good, any of you? Any good? Well, I know I could take any one of you and make you a great archer, provided we did a couple of things. Howard Hill went into 287 tournaments and placed first 287 times. He was able to take his bow and arrow and kill a white shark under 15 feet of water. He was able to bring down a Bengal tiger, they said the fastest and hardest of game animals to stop, with a bow and arrow. He was able to fire at someone's head with an apple on it and split it in two. And in fact, he was the guy in the film Robin Hood with Errol Flynn. See, that wasn't camera work, that was a real guy, and his name was Howard Hill. Now, I've never shot the bow and arrow professionally, but I know I could take any one of you here today, and providing your eyesight was good and your health was normal, have you shooting more consistently than that of Howard Hill the best day of his life. Provided, of course, we first blindfolded Howard Hill and turn him around a couple of times so he didn't know what direction he was facing. You might say, well, Ben, that's stupid. That's juvenile, isn't it? How can a person hit a target they can't see? That's a good question. Well, how are you going to fulfill an outcome that you don't have? So the key with embracing the future is to understand that things out front won't occur until we start making the steps, the necessary steps, right now to ensure those things happen.